Hello, welcome to or welcome back to Amandasaur Art. My name's Amanda and I like dinosaurs and art. Today though we are working on a jaguar drawing. And I started out with my typical red and blue layer sketches to make the rough sketch and then to redefine everything that I was working on. And from there I also wanted to add a frame around my jaguar, and so I used an orange layer to do the framing, and then I used a green layer to give me an idea of how I was going to do the leaves around it. How I typically do my big cats is I start with a layer of black for the spots, if there are spots on the big cat, and that is what I did here. I started with my layer of solid black for the big cats. I usually go a little bit smaller than I need to, so that way I have room for blending and all that, but for me, what helps me do my big cats is having that layer of black so I know where my darkest point is. It's on these spots. I know some people will tell you to start with your mids and then do your darkest and all that, and that is a really good tip for when you're doing something on pen and paper or painting. But with digital, it's easier to just start with your darkest points, I think. For the leaves around my jaguar, I wanted it to be a more cartoony style. I didn't want to go for realistic, I just wanted a fun, leafy background to help frame the face of my jaguar. I really wanted a stippling look for my jaguar in the background to help blend everything together a little bit easier. I found that it was very difficult for me to sit there and do multiple dots with my pencil and my iPad. It just wasn't working for me. What ended up working the best for me was to just find a brush that had a stippling like effect to it to get the look I was going for. When working on any animal, every part of it matters, even the parts that are not so much fun to make. My favorite part of this drawing was making the eyes, and my least favorite part was the ears, but I spent probably more time on the ears than I did the eyes because I knew that to make this drawing look really good, I needed to take my time on every part of it. So even though I'm not a huge fan of drawing ears and all that detailing, I still took my time and tried to make it look as pretty as possible. My favorite ear is the left ear. It just turned out way better than I thought I ever could do an animal ear, and so it's my favorite one. The nose had to be the part that I hated drawing the absolute most. Ears are not fun, but they turned out really good after a little bit of working. The nose took me way longer to get correct, and it was more frustrating because I knew that I knew how to draw noses, but for whatever reason, digitally drawing an animal nose is way harder than drawing anything else, so I struggled with that a lot. Eventually I got something that looked good, but it took me a lot of effort to get to that point. I thought I was going to have a toned paper background for this Jaguar. I ended up going a different route where it was still a toned background, but not this color. I went with a different color, and I think it worked a lot better than with this toned papery look. I'm doing the white layer so that way my Jaguar and the leaves are not drowned out by the color of the background, and the color of the background doesn't blend into my Jaguar. You can see me starting to work on the right ear here, and I struggled with this one a lot more because it had been a few days since I did the first one, so I forgot how I got the look for the first one. I mean, I could have looked back at the footage I got to know how I did that, but I didn't do that. I just struggled for a while. Eventually I got it to look good, but it took a lot more effort than it probably needed. We're on to the eyes now. My favorite part of this drawing. The picture I was using had these bright turquoisey blue eyes, and I loved it. Probably photoshopped or whatever, but I loved the way these eyes look, and it made me think of this artist on YouTube. His name is Daniel Silva. He's a tattoo artist, and he does a lot of like animal portraits with these colored eyes. So I was very inspired by his work to do this piece here. And I had fun trying to come up with the colors and make the eyes stand out, all the different layers and color choices. I played around until I got something that was striking from a distance but not too weird looking, if that makes sense. Took a few trial and errors to get it just right, but I love how the eyes came out. Love the choice of colors, different layers of colors. I did end up going with a more blue tone because the greeny teal, not greeny teal, but like greeny turquoise just wasn't vibing as much with me as the blue was, and I felt like that fit a lot better than the green. It was just a little too bright, so I wanted to dull that down just a little bit, and I'm glad I made that choice. They're still striking and still a very pretty blue. It's just not as, whoa, those eyes are really bright as the first one was. I did incorporate some of that initial first colors though, because it was just too pretty not to incorporate. thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye!